It is a difficult situation. There is a lot of emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way I work is that I will help the woman to connect with their baby. So I do a mix of I help them connect with the baby to receive their own message or see the baby or see what's coming for them, and also share with them what's coming for me when I connect with their baby. And it's kind of like a mix because I believe any woman can connect with their baby to different degree and through different practices. So I always like to do that. And what's happening is that when woman comes after a loss, there is a lot of emotion, as I said, and a lot of question about did I do anything wrong? Why did my
Right.
baby leave? Are they going to come back? Should I have done anything different?
I am thrilled to have Anne-Claire Le Bihan on the show today. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
Yes,
Anne-Claire?
Le Bihan.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Anne-Claire is a spirit baby medium and spiritual fertility guide who supports women on the sacred journey of conception, pregnancy, and birth. With a background in naturopathy and energy healing, she weaves together intuitive channeling, emotional clearing, and energetic alignment to help women connect with their bodies, their babies, and their soul path as mothers. Her work is especially aligned for women navigating unexplained infertility, loss, or challenges on the fertility path, and for those who feel deeply called to explore the spiritual dimension of motherhood. I hope we all do that. Through her signature program, Bring Your Spirit Baby Home, Anne Claire holds space for women to communicate with their spirit babies, clear blocks, raise their vibration, and co create with the soul of the baby who is ready to come through. Her offerings are rooted in her own journey through abortion, loss, and the births of her two sons, and guided by her soul contract to serve as a bridge between the two realms. Beautiful bio. Welcome to the program, Anne Claire.
Thank you so much, Mara. I'm so happy to
Yeah,
be here with you today.
yeah, it's so nice to have you here. This comes at such a great time in the world because I don't know, I guess it's because I'm in the field, but I can't open a book or turn on a show or anything without people talking about continuity of consciousness and vibration and frequency and energy and all of these things. And really the scientific community, well, not the majority, not the materialists, but we are finding that this stuff it really happens and it's really beautiful. So we're living in a very exciting time. So to do the work that you do is so, oh my gosh, I just wish I would have had that when I was trying to get pregnant because I went through my infertility and when I was, having my babies and this and that. But let's just kind of start at the beginning, how you first discovered your connection with spirit babies and what the journey has looked like for you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's what I always say is like often like they find me, and it's more like they find me rather than I find them.
Yes.
Um, I guess as long as I can remember when I was very little, I've always been really questioning of like why are we here and what the purpose of this life. And I don't know, like the idea of like going to school, getting a job, getting married, like it didn't work for me. Something didn't click. And like at 8 years old, I was already asking my dad to understand more. So it was something like I was looking for something bigger. I guess I believe there was something outside of what we could see. And then there were different encounters through my life, I guess, who took me to where I am today. Definitely, like I ended up in midwifery. I was in midwifery around 20 years old. So some babies started to come to me through dreams. And I also realized I had a very just natural connection with babies in the physical world, but they also were coming to me through dreams. Then I was in my 20s. Then around when I was in around 25, then I started to meet my own baby, that a little girl that was coming to me and just starting to be present in my everyday life. And then when I worked as a naturopath was in Mauritius, close to South Africa. I had someone coming for fertility. And at that time, I was also including energy healing in my practice with naturopathy. And it just like, we just ended up starting with talking about diet and things, but it didn't stay very long. I quickly went into like more the spiritual side of what it means to conceive and doing an energy healing and just feeling the baby. And she got pregnant. I mean, I will tell you the story maybe a little bit more later, but
Yes, would love that.
that was definitely a big piece of
You can
my
tell it right
journey.
now if you want.
Yeah, definitely. So basically, she came. She was trying to conceive for I think 6 to 7 years before meeting me,
Wow.
and like a lot of women, tried many things. Also, because she was in Mauritius, there were not many access like it's a small island for those who don't know. So she was even traveling to Europe to do like detox and cleanse. So she was doing a lot of different things on definitely on the physical level and also alternative medicine, but there were probably something missing because she came to me and she was like, I don't know what to do now, what's next for me, like I've tried everything. And I guess the first question that I ask her is like, how is it going in your relationship?
Mm.
That's kind of what came to me. And she said like, oh, it's been a long journey. So with over time, we kind of got disconnected to each other. And and I reminding her kind of what conception is in my belief. It's kind of it's your soul coming with your partner's soul, welcoming a baby soul. Or I mean, another soul which will come as a baby. And and it just did something in her, like something clicked. And from that on, like I remember she went home. So we did one session. She went home and had a lot of conversation with her partner and came back to me and told me like something really shifted between them. And she wanted to do an energy healing session. So we did one. And during the session, it was very interesting because we both heard a baby crying, but the where I was living was very isolating, so there is no baby around. And we both heard a baby crying and we saw her pregnant. And it was very strong. And after that, she asked me, she was like, okay, so we were in June, and she said, I have an IVF plan in July. Should I do it? And I said, I'm not the one making the decision
Yes.
for you. You check in with yourself and see, do you want to do it? Or does that feel right for you to cancel? And she didn't tell me what she did. So she just went on. So it was June. And in September, she found out that I was leaving Mauritius. And she contacted me and she said, okay, I know you're leaving, so I want you to be the first one to know that I did cancel my IVF and now that I'm pregnant. And so that was for me like I don't know, the most rewarding, beautiful things that happened, like
Right.
almost not in my life, but definitely the top 10.
Right, right. And the crying of the baby, was that just part of the baby speaking to you, or was that part of the message that I want I want you as my mom and I want dad as my daddy, but you guys need to get it together? Or what was the
So
crying
it
part of
was,
it?
yeah, it was not crying because of sadness. It was more
Yeah.
crying like a newborn crying,
Yeah, yeah,
kind of like, I'm
exactly.
here.
Right, right. So how do you hear, we talk about clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, all these different ways to when you connect with that unseen, the invisible world, the energy. So when you connect with a spirit baby, how does that work for you?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the way I've noticed is like almost it comes through different channel, and then I do a mix to try to explain and share with women or the couple. So the biggest ones for me are claircognizance. So it's kind of like a deep knowing. It's
Right,
like I will
right.
ask the question and kind of like the answer will drop in. That's a big one. Clairsentience, kind like I feel a lot of in my everyday life as well, which sometimes is a little bit overwhelming, but yeah, I feel a lot of things. And then I do see and I do hear, but yeah, I do see and I do hear, but I wouldn't say, some people they have, I don't see too much of color, but I
Right.
can tell you which color it is, but I'm not going to see it necessarily as blue. I will just know it's blue, or it will feels like the frequency of blue, like things like that.
Right. Well,
Um,
that makes sense because it seems there are very few people that get all of it,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
very clearly. Yeah. So do you ever connect with a baby like before conception?
Oh, yeah.
Or the reason I'm asking this is
Hmm.
that I did an interview of it was basically reading Melvin Morse, not Melvin Morse, I'm so sorry, Wayne Dyer's book about children who are like 1 or 2 years old and they're saying things about past lives and about choosing parents. And it's so amazingly documented that they chose, the parents that they've chosen. Sometimes it's very hard to understand, but um, that's what the research shows. And so I'm wondering, since that is happening, do you happen to connect with them before even conception?
Pretty much every baby I connect with is before conception.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's funny, as you're telling the story, I actually remember that my dad told me that before they were pregnant with me, I came to him.
Wow. I've heard
I
other people
actually have
say
never
that.
shared that story, but I just
Yeah.
remember as you're showing that.
Wow. That is so beautiful. How did you come to him? Like in a dream or?
Um, he said like he could feel my presence. Um, I think he was talking with me or I talked to him, but I
Mm,
actually, yeah, that's a good question. I've never actually
yeah.
asked him if it was in a dream or in a meditative state. Yeah, I didn't
That,
ask
that
him. I should.
that's a very in tune father, if you ask me.
Oh, he is,
That
he is. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So were you intuitive as a child?
So I would say yes, not in the sense of, some people say like they see things or not in that sense for like, not like people coming and visit me, not in that sense, but I know what people feel without them saying anything. Um, I have like a lot of intuition of like what's going on. Maybe we should contact that person. And, I had my first family member or someone around me who passed away when I was a teenager. And as soon as she passed away, I could see like the steps of like her going up. And then she came to me and gave me message for like my dad and my grandpa.
Oh,
So I
wow.
guess it was there.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I think everybody, from what I've learned, has the ability, to tune in, but some it's almost a genetic sort of thing, it's passed down also throughout generations. So, in your work, sometimes people lose, their miscarriage or there's a loss. How does your work help comfort the grief that goes along with those kinds of situations?
Yeah. I mean, first, if anyone is going through that right now when they're listening, I want to send them a lot of love, because I do know from my own experience and also the women I work with that it is it is a difficult situation. There is a lot of emotion,
Hmm.
and so the way I work is that I will help the woman to connect with their baby. So I do a mix of I help them connect with the baby to receive their own message or see the baby or see what's coming for them, and also share with them what's coming for me when I connect with their baby. And it's kind of like a mix because I believe any woman can connect with their baby to different degree and through different practices. So I always like to do that. And what's happening is that when woman comes after a loss, there is a lot of emotion, as I said, and a lot of question about did I do anything wrong? Why did my
Right.
baby leave? Are they going to come back? Should I have done anything different? Are they mad at me? Like a lot of things that weigh on them. And the way we do during the session is at first I'm going to discuss with them and ask them what are all the questions that you have for your baby. And then we'll go and connect with their baby, meet them, and answer those questions
Mm,
from the baby's perspective. And often, it's because I like to guide them, and they honestly, most of the time, they're able to either feel something or see something. Just that itself, like, bring them kind of a sense of peace, and they feel like lighter, and they just feel like almost like a weight have been taken off, and it's easier for them to carry on. Also knowing that, oh, okay, my baby is fine, they do love me. Will they come back or not? It depends of the situation. It's
right.
not always the case, but.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I'm sure the women who come to you have already been to, possibly other more traditional, people who help. And the beauty of it, though, is that when they come to you, they are so open. So I'm sure they can feel and they can really connect because they want it so badly. So you talk about co-creating with spirit babies. What exactly does that mean for you and also for moms? What can mamas and dads and others do to connect with the spirit baby that they're so excited about and in love with and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's because I really believe that, in our society, we tend to see conception as the woman responsibility. And more we now we also be like, okay, it can be on the dad side. But I think the way I like to see it is like, it's not just the woman, it's not just the man or the dad. It's there is also the baby including in that story. And if the woman already have children, there is also the siblings that often have a role in play. So that's why I talk about co-creation. It's often I notice that the babies are they've been present with their mom that whole time, that they're aware of it or not, and they're guiding their mom. They're guiding their mom towards sometimes some life changes, sometimes towards, when they're looking at moving house, they kind of guide them and help them find the right house, but they also help them to find maybe the right practitioner. I often believe that when they find me, they've been guided with their baby.
Yeah.
Like the stories of how they find me sometimes are like, so like, how is it even possible that,
Right.
like the other day, so I'm on Google, my business, so I appear where I live. I don't do in person, but I appear. And one woman, so I'm in Vancouver, Canada right now, and one woman was coming to a restaurant which is in my street. And when she was in the restaurant, like she saw me appearing on the map. And then she was like, okay, I think that's a sign. And she booked a session
Yes.
and worked with me for a long while. So it's just a lot of little stories like that where it's kind of, and then it's for the woman to accept the sign and just follow it,
Yeah,
or
trust it.
just being like, okay, maybe they need a few sometimes.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I'm so into signs and synchronicities, and you just need to
Hmm.
trust. And the more you open up, the more they come flowing in. Yeah, which I know you know. So, how does your background in naturopath and energy healing, how does that, shape your work with your spirit baby communication?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I was really, looking for meaning for this life. And so quite early on, already when I was a teenager, I was like, what am I meant to do? What's my purpose in life?
Mm,
And it was very difficult for me to find the answer. So I decided to go by, okay, what are the things that I like? I'm just going to start by doing the things that I'm called to do. And from there, I will create something. And so that's kind of what's happened. I was in midwifery, then I traveled the world and lived in different spiritual community. And then I was like, okay, I want to learn naturopathy. And what I love about naturopathy for me, what was eye-opening, is the holistic approach. I honestly depend of the countries. I find it's not practiced always the way I like and the way I've learned. But at the root of it, naturopathy is very holistic, looking at
Oh
like
yeah.
every aspect of your life and trying to find the root cause of the problem. And that's definitely what I like to look at. And the root cause, when you're, let's say you're trying to conceive, can be like your diet and your nutrition, your lifestyle, but it could also be, your mind and your what you're saying to yourself every day, or it could be the energetic or the spiritual side. I mean, I'm making it short, but there is so many reasons which can be at the root of not being able to conceive. And I've noticed that in the world, there were a lot of people focusing on the physical, on the body, the nutrition, which I think it's really needed.
Hmm.
But then it was missing, I found the other part, like the mindset, there is more and more as well, but I still do some of it. But I wanted really to focus on like mind, spirit, and energy because I found there were a gap there.
Yeah, yeah.
And often women who find me, if they haven't done that, I can support them with that part of like the diet and the body and nutrition. But most of the time they've already done all of these
Right, right.
and almost they reach a point where it's very extreme and very restrictive. So I'm more trying to bring them back to, it doesn't have to be that strict in a way.
Yes, yes. No, I know exactly what you're saying. You need, they've already done the mind body part, which we Westerners are very, very good at, which you probably know if you work with a lot of people in the United States. And it's the spiritual aspect, which
Hmm.
I feel is just as important, if not more important than all of the rest of it. So how has your journey with motherhood, including any challenges, how has it kind of influenced your work or the way you hold space for moms and dads and the people you work with?
Hmm. Yeah, so I guess when you ask me, the story of how I started to do this work, I started like kind of like the background of different things that happened before I started. But the turning point was really when I got pregnant in 2019. And at that time, I had a lot of very strong dream that I needed to do. Like the message was like I needed to help women to connect with their baby and show them that it's possible. And it was like so loud and so strong that I had that quite a few times in my life. I know when I woke up from those dreams, it's like it's not that there is no choice, but it's like I know this is the path.
Yes.
Um, and then what's happened is that I did lose that baby at around 11 weeks.
Hmm.
So what was
Sorry.
interesting is that almost the loss of the baby because of like, I went through everything I described earlier. It also, I wanted to kind of really honor this life of that baby. And I was like, the best way I can do it is really to dive into what they asked me to do. So I think it allowed me to go into it earlier that, if I would have carried on with that pregnancy, then I would have a newborn, I would have give birth. So it
Right,
probably would have
right.
delayed. I don't even know if I would have even gone to do that because then life get busy.
Yeah.
Was this, I was like, okay, that baby came. I love that baby and I want to honor the reason why they came. And I think in my case, one of the big reason was that.
Mhm. Yes, it's so hard for us to understand that. I've had my own grief, and it's hard to understand how things like that can bring about growth and healing and really beautiful things. I know Mary Neal, who many of my listeners know her. She's an orthopedic surgeon who had a near-death experience, and she was told her son she had to come back because her son was going to pass. And he did like 10 years later. And she just asked, the other side, God or whatever you want to call it, just why my boy And the answer was all beauty comes in all things. And it's so hard, but we just have to trust and trust that divine intervention. It's not random. These things are just not random, in my
Hmm.
opinion. I try not
Oh
to give
no,
my opinions, but
oh no, I
so
mean, I completely agree with you.
yeah, yeah,
But that being said, what I often share with women, it's I do believe that at some point they, the question about the why, when they, let's say when they come to me, we have a piece of information, but like everything in life, we're talking about, life and death. It's like
yeah.
we want to understand with our own brain, but there is some information that we don't have and we probably won't have access until after. But
Hmm.
even that being said, I find we have some piece of information, but I always say to them, later on, when they will have their baby side, they will understand a lot better the why it
Yeah,
didn't happen.
absolutely. And
But
just trust.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
difficult. I know it's very difficult in the moment, but all the women that have been in that situation and that, have are interested into spiritual development and personal growth, they do understand the why and they almost say like, I would not have it any other way. But I know also when you're in it, it's difficult to hear that. But
yeah, yeah.
it's down the road, you have more understanding of the why it didn't happen at that time. Why, yeah.
Right, right. Yeah. Well, um, thanks for coming on today. Is there a story you want to share or any words of wisdom you would like to share before we start talking about your contact information and those sorts of things?
Um, I'd say like if you listen until now, just take it as a sign. And also know like today we focus really on like the fertility and after a loss, but also connecting with your baby, like during pregnancy and preparing for birth is it's very beautiful. You ask me, do like what was my story? So I had my miscarriage and now I have two sons and they were both born at home. The second one being like unassisted. So I birthed on my own. And
Wow.
the communication with the baby was a big piece. It's like I could, I knew what my baby was doing. I knew if he needed something. I knew what was going on, and that was very helpful. And I find having the opportunity to get to know your baby before they come also, and ask them, do you like that name? Do you like just ask them some question and getting to know like their personality. It's really cool because usually the first year when they're born, we're very busy and there is a lot going on in the postpartum. And also the personality is not fully there. But because they've connected with them before, they start to see glimpse of what they've seen. And then when the babies are toddler, they're like, yeah, it's the same baby. Like I knew, like it's the same one. And
Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
beautiful. I
Right.
love that.
Yeah. With that said, though, I wouldn't suggest, or I don't think you would either, that you are a midwife to an unassisted birth but on your own.
No, no, I don't suggest that. And I did have a team of midwife coming
Yeah.
after. It just like it happened like that.
Yes, yes. And
And
connecting
also,
with the baby.
yeah, and it just they didn't arrive on time. But to be honest, that's also I think what I wanted and that what I manifested because I was really happy about that. But yeah, I have background in midwifery. I'm a trained doula,
Yeah,
and I knew they were a team coming in, and I actually always suggest recommend anyone to have a team with them.
absolutely. Absolutely. Of
Yeah, sorry,
course.
I didn't think of that
Yeah.
now with with the
I
word
just
we
wanted to
yeah.
throw that in.
Yeah, yeah, no, 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 thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. And if people do want to reach out to you and find you, how would they? And this will all be in the show notes. And we're going to be sure the links work for everyone. But how would people find you?
Yeah, so I guess the best way is through my website. So it's under my full name, Anne-Claire Le Bihan. And for those who are interesting, they might not be ready to come and meet me, but they're interesting to try to connect with their baby. We'll also have a link for them to get free access to spirit baby
Yes,
meditation
yes.
that they can try on their own. And feel free to, send me an email like through my website and just tell me how it was for you, because I just love
Mm.
hearing women's stories. And
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Well, thank you. It's really been an honor to have this conversation. You're doing such important work in the world, so thank you for that.
Thank you so much for having me. It was lovely to meet you.
Yes. So, have a great rest of the day and thanks so much.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, bye-bye.